Hi everyone, welcome to Value. So today we're talking about Veru. The stock just released their third quarter report and it just helped it just jump 36%, which is fantastic. That basically stops a downtrend that was happening with the stock. Like if you go back to July, stock was at 17.80 and it just slid all the way to $11.39 being the latest low for the stock. With this report release, I think it kind of just reignites the excitement. People know that things are happening and they're buying the stock. And also it was a really good point to be buying it. It feels like $12 and $11. Those are good prices to be buying at, particularly when you see when things happen, the stock tends to jump up quite a bit. Now the stock could either just keep going a bit more, or there'll be profit takers and we start trending back downwards again. So it is really depending on what the momentum with the crowd is with this. Right now it could go either way really, until the approvals come through. Then it's anyone's game really. Like it's all about the approval, and we're still waiting. So if we look at this third quarter report, it just sums up everything that we've basically known all along. As the highlights will put it, they've submitted their emergency use authorization application to the FDA, and it happened in June. They also submitted an application with the UK Medicines and Healthcare Product Regulatory Agency, which they were informed that their application will be expedited, though I assume that will still take a bit of time for them to go through. And then the surprise was the European Medicines Agency Emergency Task Force initiating a review of sabizabulin, which basically is their version of an EUA, which, if approved, Veru can actually start selling their COVID treatment to any the European countries in that are regulated by them. And we know that basically Germany was the one that asked the emergency task force to do this review. So if the review is good, there's a very good chance that Germany is going to be one of the first ones to line up to get this treatment. They're also featured in a New England journal, so that's always very positive that they did feature them. And yeah, that's more or less the highlights. The financials, which I think we won't put that much weight on them because they're not what's going to change the company. They certainly help if they were improving, but of course they're not. So total revenue decreased 46% for the third quarter, and that was down from 17.7 million to 9.6. And then basically their FC2 prescription revenue is down 50%. So you really get the idea. Basically, the company's things weren't great in this quarter. They blame basically their telecommunications sales not doing too well, which caused a net loss of $22 million. Though the positive to take out of this is their cash balance is $100 million versus $122 million. So for that quarter, they burnt $22 million. They've got $100 million. That's going to keep them probably going for about another 12 months. But if not, though, they might be they may be using up more cash flow because basically they're hiring a lot of people for the infectious disease team, which basically is going to cost more and are likely to burn more cash. So that $100 million is really going to last maybe 3 quarters. So if they don't get an approval coming out soon, these guys would possibly face a capital raising possibly 6 months from now if they do not get an approval. So bear that in mind. Basically in terms of approvals, like it is not solely on the FDA approval. Like originally, we all kind of placed our hopes on the FDA approval, but the company, the CEO, kind of made it very clear that hey, it doesn't actually have to come from the FDA. As long as it comes from the FDA or the UK or the European Medicines Agency, they're going to do really well as long as they get one approval. So if we come to the transcript, which was basically the earnings call, so you can either listen to the earnings call or you can read the earnings call transcript. So I've kind of I heard the call, and I just kind of like highlighting basically things that I heard that I think it might be useful in terms of what we're looking at. So as it's put, any one of those three, it will open up to 80% of the countries that are out there that are interested in getting the drug. So basically, they just have to get one approval, and it opens up 80% of the countries. So yeah, like it doesn't actually matter that if they don't get the FDA approval, it's not the end of everything. Of course, it's going to influence the other two kind of agencies, but it's not, the sole one. If they get rejected by the FDA but they get approved in the UK, or they get approval in Europe, then that's a positive. But of course, the ideal case is that they get it everywhere. They get approval from all three agencies, and that will really do wonders for the stock price and the company, of course. So they've also said that, so of examples, in Korea, which is public information, Korea has publicly, in their newspapers, they were reviewing sabizabulin. So there you go. So Korea is also one of the countries that are really interested. So basically we have the US, UK, Germany and Korea that we know is actually quite interested in this product. So it's just a matter of the approval, and basically they can start selling, and it will be pretty good for these for the company basically. And yeah, it was said somewhere here that basically the minute they get approval, they will start selling, and they could start getting money in the bank in 2 weeks from the approval. So things basically will happen very quickly. They've already ramped up production because basically it's August now, so they've ramped up production to a really good rate. And they can continue to ramp up production, but of course they need to know how much they actually need to supply. So the company itself is very confident. They're hiring a lot of people. They're talking to a lot of government agencies. They're basically talking about terms. They're talking about setting out agreements inside the US and outside the US. So a lot of things are happening. All that's really missing in terms of the piece of the puzzle is this approval. So either the approval in the US, the UK, or Europe. And that should do wonders for a share price that's basically valuation $1.28 billion. For a company that could generate that much alone from this drug, it's gonna be a game changer. As they said here, remdesivir, they brought in almost $4.6 billion. So it kind of just tells you the numbers that these guys could be dealing with. So yeah, like it will just blow this market cap out of the water. The money that they could potentially earn if they get approval from all three of these agencies. But even if they get one approval from these agencies, that's enough credibility to get them selling and making quite a bit. So just one approval, which I think previously it was all thought that it had to come from the FDA. But now I think if they get approval from the emergency task force and they get a good review, that will be pretty good. That's actually probably easier for them to get than the FDA approval, which we of course we are pretty optimistic the FDA is going to give them the approval. But if they don't get the FDA one, there's a good chance that they could get the emergency task force one. So yeah, so I think this one's going to be a good alternative. The UK one's probably going to take a bit longer, and are likely to be as strict as the FDA. Yeah, basically, yeah, the FDA. So yeah, like if the FDA doesn't approve it, there's a good chance the UK one might not approve it as well. But there is a good chance the emergency task force might approve it, because they will likely, because they're more or less giving it a review. And then basically it's up to the countries inside Europe to actually choose if they want to use it as well. So it's not like, oh, immediately it's approved and then they get access to everything. They're just a preliminary approval. Then other countries, say like Germany, has to decide as well if they want to use it or not. So hence why I don't think that one's going to be as strict as the FDA. Yeah, but apart from that, it's still a waiting game, really. Really don't actually know what's going to be happening for the time being. Like until we see an approval happen, it's just a waiting game. Like they've also got the launch of kind of was it Endothy, which is a drug to help males reduce their prostate size, because some males can develop a large prostate, and then basically if they take this pill, it can help reduce that prostate size. It's yeah, so they've got that launching quite soon, so they will get a new revenue stream, which will help fund their current operation. And yeah, apart from that, yeah, I wouldn't say there's too much else happening inside the company, but of course the main focus is this COVID-19 treatment. If approval comes through, that's all your problems solved, and basically just wait and watch the stock rise, really. Until then, stock price is just going to trade up and down, kind of like this. It's going to go down by quite a few dollars, and when there's good news, up by quite a few dollars. Like you can see, like it jumps quite a bit once there's really good news. Yeah, but until then, I would just say, you know, especially if you're in the stock, just understand the risk is quite high, so only stay in the stock if you know you can handle the risk. Of course, the risk isn't as kind of sort of lowered than from previously. Previously, we thought we're solely reliant on the FDA. Now we can, we've got three kind of chances. So potentially, it only takes one of those approvals to come through, and then we're all good. Yeah, apart from that, I'd say, yeah, it's just, we'll continue watching the stock. Let's hope the FDA doesn't take too much longer. It's already been 2 months. You know, hopefully, you know, they are close to basically finishing their review, and they can decide whether they want to approve it or not. Until then, I will, yeah, see what happens next with the stock. Good luck everyone, and yeah, hopefully next time I do another video, it is on some really good news. Until next time, see ya.